Hey everybody, what's up? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Now this video is gonna be about something I've been meaning to talk about a while ago. I had to explain the gray pill and touch up on some things. But basically, man, we live in a pro-limiter society, pro-limitation society. Really, it's a pro-male limitation society that has led to a lot less, let's say, satisfaction in life. Like, I was doing some research for the book I'm writing, Man Vantage, and I still gotta do more research, but I looked it up, and I saw that prostitution was made illegal in 1875. I kept thinking, man, 1920 was when, the government officially turned on men. With the broken voting system between the sexes, where it's not regulated. You know what I'm saying? It's not regulated based on the sexes. As I always bring up that, how the voting system is broken, and that the government gave voting to women was to bypass the male vote, was that they don't have a check and balance for the sexes. For example, if 500 men vote for the mayor to 450 women that voted for the mayor, they'll count all the votes versus saying, you know what, we're only counting 450 of the votes because we have to be fair and balanced between the sexes. We can't have more. We can't have way more male votes than female votes. So that's how it's been broken for quite some time. Now, the other thing you have is, and my eyes are very watery for some reason. Freaking allergies acting up. But for one reason you have, what was I saying? Yeah, so how it's a pro-limiter society is that, notice that in 1875 you remove prostitution in the country in 1875. So you remove that choice of a man who, for example, just, seek to enjoy himself and didn't seek to participate in society, to necessarily have access to that form of sexual entertainment or intercourse. So the government goes out of its way to just remove that. So they remove a man's ability to just, have sex for the sake of fun and, entertainment, whatever it is. And then you fast forward to 1920, all of a sudden you have the female vote, so you gotta look at that pattern of limitation. You see, first they remove a man's option to just, have sexual intercourse on the whim. Just pay a woman, or a woman pays a man, whatever, for access to sexual activity. And, that allowed a man to be free. For example, let's say that man had, a mother of his child, and, he didn't feel like sleeping with her at a certain amount of time, so he just went to another woman, and paid for that. And, got that need out of him, And another thing I've been thinking, man, what was the side effects of prostitution being legal before it was made illegal? Think about it now. This is before women could vote and all that, before the 1875 passing of the removal of prostitution, is that think about the side effects. I was thinking, a big thing a lot of guys in the manosphere talk about is that, okay, man, the women were cooking and cleaning and, it had to do with the laws and everything like that, But then I thought about it. I'm like, man, what was the side effect of prostitution? You know what I'm saying? Was prostitution also a key to maintaining the family? You know what I'm saying? Because since the man was predominantly the only one working, unless the woman was working with him in the farm and so on, she was doing her farm duties as well, because that's one thing a lot of dudes in the manosphere, there's a big lie that's going on. It's as though the women never worked. When in the farms and so on, you had the women cleaning, cooking, and so on, pulling their weight, you know what I'm saying? So, and what they could do, you know what I mean? So, part of me started thinking, man, what role did, legalized prostitution have on those women that had a man, that had a man at home? Was prostitution also something that kept kept that family and kept the woman in that man's life, kept her more balanced? Because since that man could get sex at any moment outside of being with her, she would have to cook and clean and basically showcase that her value goes beyond sex, and also, since she was only with that man and no other man, he could trust her, because if you're going out with a prostitute back in those days, she's sleeping with a lot of men, high body count. You don't know how clean or whether she has an illness and all that. And then since there's so many men around, you don't know if you can actually trust her or, be around her too long. You know what I'm saying? So part of me got to thinking, man, maybe prostitution, when it was legal, it played a major role in, keeping women, more loyal to their man in their life, because at any moment that man could access sex without issue, you know what I'm saying? So it got me thinking, man, of course you had the laws, the women aren't voting, before 1920, but okay, now let's remove that. Now they before they gave women voting, that had something to do with it to keep them at home and, help them work and all that. But you got to look at that once prostitution was made illegal, in less than, 1920, so 1875, it's made illegal. So you add 20 years to that, that's 1920, 1920. So in less than about 50 years, all of a sudden, you have the female vote pops up right after the end of prostitution, because what happened is, since those men could not access sex beyond the woman they're with legally, she now held something, now she has a power move with her sexuality, which would push it towards that, the government eventually getting involved. So this is why I say it became a pro-limiter society, is that once a man can't access sex when he needs it or wants it, you're limiting that man, So you got to look at in less than 50 years after the end of prostitution, you have the corrupt vote that's given to women without the regulation of the sexes when it comes to voting. You know what I mean? As I previously mentioned. So in less than 50 years. Then you got to look at it again, that after 1920, you go towards 1960, I forget the year, I think it was 1969 is when no-fault divorce is passed. So now the government has the women voting, and the government has an unchecked and unbalanced approach to voting. All of a sudden, 1920, and you fast forward to 1969, so about 40, let's see, 1969, so about 49 years again. In less than 50 years, you have another major move of no-fault divorce coming. You know what I'm saying? So the government has been doing it step by step to reaching the point where they absolutely bypass the male vote, and by creating a pro-limiter society on men, you know, where they limit it. And even though you have states like Nevada where prostitution is legal, it's not legal statewide. So you have men that can't reach Nevada or are unaware of it, stuck seeking access to sex, you know, through a relationship means or interaction without payment. So that man still has to work for it. And what he's working for is, again, attached to the government, as you could see after 1969 with no fault. I could be wrong. You could check that one out. The government gets even more involved. You know, you got child support. You get a lot of things where the government, you know, upon giving women the right to vote without the proper checks and balances, the government allows them more the false illusion of power, when in reality it's the government stepping more into women's life and actually acting as a supervisor, you know what I'm saying, supervision over them, you know what I'm saying, because a lot of the laws you look at, that are being made, now women see it as a form of power, empowerment, but in reality, it's them having the government having supervision over them, where they have far less freedom than ever before. Because the very fact that a woman can't just go to the bar, enjoy herself, and then the government has stepped in and said, well, if she had one drink, she's drunk, even though she's not drunk, and that man isn't drunk, or they're both drunk. The government has come in with its supervision that it decides the fate of women at all times, even above them, as it has supervision over them. You know what I'm saying? So now you gotta look at it as a pro-limiter society. Is you gotta look at, now let's step, let's go a little further back. Now, if you look at the 1940s and 50s, you know, before no-fault divorce, it was well known, and it was a well-known joke back then, that men would have two families, you know what I'm saying? And they would have them separated. Now, you know, later on, you'd see them demonize this whole thing with the media and so on. But if that man was providing for both families, you know, who cares if they never met each other? He at the end of the day was providing and protecting both families, you know, and he was reaching his potential of what he wanted to do. Now, I gotta do more research on when it became illegal, and, you know, y'all could comment on that when it became illegal for men to have multiple wives, you know what I'm saying, multiple wives. Because if you look at that, it's all about limitation of a man. For example, you know, when No Fault came, now a man can't have two families. You know what I'm saying? He can't reach his limit in life. You know, some men want a lot more, you know, because, you know, I forget the word, but a man being with just one woman isn't natural to a man. That's usually a choice. You know what I'm saying? It's not a natural thing. It's a choice. So you look at society, you know what I mean, when they added in these limitations, you know, because before No Fault, you know, a lot more men were known to have two families, you know what I'm saying, and separate. You know, they might be separated by miles, or they might be separated by a whole other state. That man might have had two families. But the thing you gotta look at is, at that time, and how you could tell it's limiting, is that that man had to hide that. You know, so you look at it as the state got involved, the more the state got involved, the more the man had to hide or limit himself, you know, limit his desires. For example, let's say a man, I need to look up when it became illegal for a man to have multiple wives, or, you know, harems or whatever in the country. Now, a lot of people will say, and this is how you know we're in a feminized, you know, society, is that a lot of the advertisement will be, oh, he's a man, he has a harem, he has too many women with him, and this and that. Oh, why can't he stay with one? Because all that whole one woman thing is being pushed to actually limit a man and actually wrap his fertility to the limitations of one woman. And what it does is it further proves that narrative that it's all about sisterhood is a fallacy. It's a lie, because if women were all about sisterhood and so on, actually it would be promoted, and it would be far more legally, it would be legally allowed. You wouldn't have to be, forget that religion where they allow these guys to marry more women. Damn, I can't, I think it starts with an H, a Mormon, there it is, you know what I mean, a Mormonism, you're allowed to have multiple women, marry them, and so on. But, you know, with the laws being what they are, it's a trap. But back to what I was saying, the thing is this, when you limit a man's ability to have multiple families, you actually limit a woman's ability to experience that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of her having a family and having a child. Because look at it, if one man could have multiple women, whatever, you know, marriage or whatnot, that would mean multiple women would experience motherhood and having a man they can trust, that can protect and provide for them, and, you know, that whole experience and so on. But the other thing is that you would have, you know, one of the greatest gifts a man can give a woman that they've demonized in this pro-limiter society, is that women's best friends, the best friend a woman usually has ties to her family. You know, the person she could trust the most has ties to her family. So it might be a cousin, a female cousin. It might be a female mother-in-law, and so on. You know, somebody very close, or a childhood friend. But what men used to do when you look at these Mormons, for example, is when a man has multiple wives, each of these women are given the female they could trust for the rest of their life, you know, for the most part, because they both share a child with the same man. So they form a very you know what I'm saying, are very close ties, because these ties are by blood. You know, you had that man's child, she had that man's child. You know, both of them had a child by the same man. So there's a very strong connection there. And that's usually what a man can do when he actually, has multiple women living together, under his rule or whatever, is that they get to share the experience of motherhood with another woman that shares the same father as their child. So there's a strong connection of trust there, something that doesn't exist otherwise, you know what I mean? That's limited, if not going through that path, so there's a very positive that came out of men having multiple families, you know what I'm saying? And also the fact that, let's go back again, that when prostitution was legal, you had far less single mothers, and you had a big saying back then, a bastard. You know what I mean? A bastard was usually either the son of a prostitute or, the son of a woman by some alternative or negative means. It was rare because the women at home had to worry about prostitutes and being able to cook and clean, respect and loyalty, for fear that the man could leave them at any time for sexual activities, you know what I'm saying? So prostitution played a role in, it allowed more women a mental check on actually staying with their man, and the comfort that comes with that, because if prostitution's legal, that man could just go get some sex, and you have to provide something more than sex, you know what I'm saying, which was motherhood, trust, loyalty, and routine, because I keep telling guys that you can't have trust without routine. That's what a lot of men seek, is routine, you know what I'm saying? Routine is a way for us to avoid chaos, because once we've established a routine, we can pre-plan things, and we can plan surprises and so on. So routine, trust does not come before routine, you know what I mean? Because if you don't know how that person behaves and their behavior pattern, their routine, then how can you trust them? I mean, think about it. That I always say this, that a man coming home to his wife's cooking, there's a high level of trust there. When you eat somebody's food, there's a high level of trust, because you didn't see them prepare it. You know what I'm saying? You just trust that they won't harm you, and that food isn't going to be poisoned or get you ill or sick. There's a high level of trust in eating somebody's food, something that they downplay a lot in today's society. You know what I mean? Because I doubt a man would want to eat something that, back in the 1800s, that some, prostitute cooked, when she's been with multiple men, and, you know where her hands have been, and you know where you don't want them to be. So to me, man, I look at it, I'm like, man, prostitution in America, when it was legalized statewide, must have played a major role in actually keeping the families together. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was actually unlimiting a man's potential, because some men, you know what I'm saying, one woman might not be enough. Some men, to satisfy their manhood, they might need like 5 women. You know what I'm saying? Just to satisfy to satisfy that, damn, why am I forgetting the word right now? Satisfy that testosterone and, their peak potential. You know what I'm saying? Their peak potential, they might look at it as, man, I could provide for 3, I could have a family of 3 women. You know what I'm saying? I got to reach that. That's my goal. And That's going to be my limitation. And like I said, when you remove a man's ability to have harems or have multiple women, you actually, in the long term, you're hurting more women from experiencing motherhood and actually experiencing a deep connection with other women, since their bond would come from sharing a child with the same man. Unlike today, because of the laws where if a woman shares a child with the same man, there's a lot of animosity and anger because it all stems from, you know what I mean, we have all this power. We have child support. We have, you know, his fault divorce, alimony. You know, we have all this power. How dare this man do this? How dare he disobey me and, you know, move away from what I want? That's what you hear, such animosity. And the thing is, if you look at it, if multiple women share one man, that's less work for them, because now you have multiple women sharing the chores, raising that child, caring for that child, children. So you have multiple eyes on the children. I mean, I remember once I spoke to a modern woman in today, probably a good 4 or 5, probably 3 years ago, and she told me, well, I share, you know, I have she said she has a son of a man, and he has multiple children, and they're all single moms. And I told her, why aren't y'all just coming together and living together? You could share the rent, you could save more money, and just accept that man back in your life. Your children need a father, and you want to ease the bills and so on. It only makes sense that you would come together. But as I stated, with all the laws where, you know, no fault divorce, alimony, and all this stuff, where a man is seen as a submissive clown, you know what I mean? Because that's what it really is. That's what it comes down to when a man enters a long-term relationship. It makes him submissive, because men don't have, with the law, men don't really have any authority. You know, any authority, you know, with all the news stations, everything just weaponized, waiting to call this man, if he decides to lead his family, a sexist, misogynist, you know, toxic, all this stuff. Then the laws that are set up for, oh, he mentally abused me, an adult. This is why I say, with everything going on legally, that women have been placed in a position where they're like treated like children and minors, because you know how the kids, you know how you used to come from school when you were little, you would say, oh, they're teasing me, help me, mommy, you know what I'm saying? Then the woman comes, oh, he was abusive to me mentally, help me, Gover, help me, daddy gov. You know, the government, even if she doesn't want that help or not, the government steps in. The government is now, and this is why I say there's a false level of independence. I made a video way back called No Such Thing as an Independent Woman. You can watch that video. It's a classic, you know what I mean? It's something that, you know, most men aren't saying. But if you look at it like that, since women are under the supervision of the government, they have no freedom. You know what I'm saying? They bought into the state to be an agent of the state, to the point where there is no freedom for women. And now when you have a pro-limiter society, and a lot of guys like to talk about the whole, you know, the 80-20 rule, the 90-10 rule, when in actuality, if you look at the statistics and numbers, you know what I mean, that rule isn't really the majority. You know what I'm saying? If you do the statistics. Now, you know, I would have to do another video on that topic, but I think I did. I might have to do one. I don't remember. But basically, by living in a male limitation society, you're actually taking away a lot of experiences that women used to experience when they would share a child with, the father of the child was from the same man, from a positive spectrum, so they would have another woman they could trust with their children. And they could have a sisterhood on how they were raising the children, and an extreme level bond, a bond where they don't even have to be friends because they know they still could trust each other because, they share children with that man. You know what I mean? So that's been eliminated, with the government limiting men. Then you have a lot of male frustration because certain guys, be it their libido or their testosterone or just their goals as a man, they see themselves with far more women, be it now or later. For example, a man might be married for 20 years. Now his wife is infertile, you know what I mean? And let's say he's 40 and she's just turned 39 and there's high risk of having a child, but he wants another child. Instead of him bringing in another woman in the relationship, he can't. He has to suppress that need. And when he suppresses that need, now less women will have children. And let's be honest, we all know the stats that there are more women than men in the country, since men do more hard labor jobs that result in death. Men go to war and so on. Plus you have the own sex preference with abortions. You know what I mean? So there are far less men than women, you know what I'm saying? And the women that want to have children there'll be far less women with that experience of motherhood. Now let's remove the laws from the laws from the equation, child support, alimony, and his fault divorce. Let's remove that out of that, and let's remove the family court. But if we focus on it in general, women, since the laws are the way they are, less women will experience motherhood, you know what I'm saying? Because there's not enough men to go around, you know what I'm saying? And that used to not be a problem because one man could have children with multiple women. So multiple women could experience the experience of being a mother. And also, multiple women could experience the type of man they want without it being a social stigma or a social issue. You know what I'm saying? You would just have multiple women sharing one man. And even if that man left, because, something, I think I got to do a video on stepfathers. You know what I mean? I got to do a video on that. I know I did the biological stepfather thing, but I think I got to do a video on stepdads and, why there's kind of an alternative meaning to it, you know what I'm saying, when it's done correctly, you know what I mean, or there's an alternative to it, you know what I mean, there's an alternative. I got to explain it without it, without it ending up being a simpish thing or something like that. There was alternative, because if you look back in the caveman days and all that, you've always had stepfathers, man. The whole stepfather thing isn't new. It ain't new at all. You know what I mean? It's engraved in our DNA. You've always had that. You know what I'm saying? But it's with the legalities, a man choosing to be a stepfather with the laws being what they are is just, it's just seeking a reason for a rope necklace and or a wrist knife. You know what I'm saying? That, with the laws being what they are, being a stepfather is, you know what I mean? And I'll make a video on it. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, one thing about the manosphere is the manosphere, when it comes to their conversations of history, they all speak from the point of the agenda, as in a lot of their talking points are 1960s, you know what I'm saying? And they'll reference the 1950s and 40s as though there was no time before that. You know, there was no 1800s, there was no 1700s. It was, all manhood in America all started in the 1940s to 60s, whatever, and beyond. That's when it all started. It's never been before then. So, you gotta understand, we live in a male limitation society. So men are not being allowed to be who they are, And there's actually, for example, there's sexual frustration for men that even if they get sex from their wife, because their need to conquer more, you know what I'm saying? That man just walks in his home. He's like, man, I should have 3 wives. I should have 3 women. I should have 6 women. You know what I'm saying? So there's sexual frustration there from a man that he's not allowed to reach his full sexual potential and his full peak. You know what I'm saying? So that's something a lot of men in the manosphere don't talk about, is that man being sexually frustrated from the fact that he's not allowed to reach his full sexual potential and his full potential as a man. You know what I'm saying? Some men, like I was saying, just want, I won't say my number or whatever, but some men actually are thinking, man, I need two women now at their youth, and then later on I need one more. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you see a guy, he's sexing up his wife, he's not bored of her, and he's walking with her, and he looks at another woman, like he looks at her like like he wants it so badly. You know what I mean? Because his limit might be 3 women, 4 women. You know what I'm saying? That might be his limit, his number, and he needs to have that many to fulfill his I forget the word, to fulfill his needs. You know what I mean? And another thing is, men, even if a man had 4 to 5 women, and this is why when prostitution was legal, it allowed men to be less stressful, is that man just needs the feel of a new woman. You know what I'm saying? It's just instinctive, and this is why we are where we are now. I mean, if you go back to the caveman days, it wasn't the Flintstones where it's one caveman, one cave woman. The cavemen would breed with multiple women. You know what I'm saying? And some would even share those women and so on. You know what I mean? So it was never, I'm forgetting the word, if it's polygamy or forget the word for it. But men were not just a one woman type of thing. So you have a pro-limitation society, you know what I mean? MLS, Male Limitation Society, that's what we're in, where there's a lot of frustration being a man and a lot of confusion, you know what I mean? Where you'll have men saying, oh man, I had a convo with a brother, with a dude I spoke to, where they'll tell you, hey man, it's honorable for a man to have just one woman and this and that. That's the speech from, like I said, a lot of guys in the manosphere will quote the 1940s and beyond. They won't quote anything beyond that. To them, that's what the normal is, and that's actually when the romance agenda started being pushed, and the male limitation pushed even further to wipe out the notion that men should actually have more than one woman. You know what I'm saying? So you live in a male limitation society. The men are frustrated because they can't reach their sexual peak, you know what I mean, or their desired peak. Then the women are frustrated because they can't experience being a mother. You know what I'm saying? They can't experience being a mother or a wife, or, you know, just a woman, a man's woman. You know what I'm saying? They can't experience it because there's not enough men to go around. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do the math, you know, if one man, let's say every man in this country got married, let's just say that, you know, let's remember the laws, let's act like the laws don't exist. The negative laws, you know, the nega laws, you know, the negative laws don't exist. There would still be potentially millions of women that are unwedded, you know what I'm saying? Because there's not enough men to go around, you know. So you look at it, and what this does is, this is how it's basically, that whole sisterhood stuff is BS. It's because the government has done is it's basically created a society where the women really are in competition with each other, where, ooh, look, I have a husband and you don't. Oh, girl, you need help. Let me try to help you. It becomes, you know, she's more superior to that woman because she has a husband or a man committed to her and the other woman doesn't. You know, so, you know, the government has actually, this whole sisterhood thing, it's a fallacy. It's a fallacy, man. You know what I mean? I saw a video where a guy, you know what I mean, they're attacking him, they're joking, where he got 2 twins pregnant. You know what I'm saying? They're each gonna have his baby. And people looking at it from a negative standpoint, but you're looking at it, you're like, okay, the twins share, you know, the twins share one man, you know what I'm saying? And that one man has their child, and they will never have to worry about a fight between their significant others because it's the same person. You know what I mean? There's something that comes with that, you know what I mean? A positive. So a lot of the women, and the thing is, as the birth rate declines, I mean, it's over 5% went the decline, you know, with the laws being what they are. You know what I mean? I plan to make a video called Where Are We Now? You know, where I discuss where we are in society now as men. But basically, man, living in a male limited society, male limitation society, it's basically harming both sexes. The men have a lot of sexual frustration, you know what I mean, where they want more than one woman and they can't access that. They can't legally have that option. And then the women that would be great mothers and so on can't be great mothers. Then the fact that you don't have prostitution legal nationwide, I mean, it is, you know, you have your seeking arrangements and, you know, these escort services and all that in Nevada, but by not having prostitution nationwide, you have a lot of women stepping out of their relationships because they have no reason to maintain their morality. You know what I'm saying? Because if you had prostitution fully legalized in the country, what happens is that the pressure gets put on the woman to, and let's be honest, with today's technology, cooking, cleaning is nothing. It's too damn easy. You know what I mean? You could pay a person a couple dollars to do your laundry. You know what I mean? It's too affordable and accessible. But what happens is without that balance of, you know, prostitution, multiple women sharing the same man legally, and a man being able to pique his sexual interest, you know what I mean? You have, and then you have all these laws, you're gonna have the birth decline. Like I said, man, a lot of men are protesting, whether they know it or not, that a lot of men, now you add in the abortion rate, the fact that just a certain race, like they said, I was watching Sad Black Woman's channel way back. He said that every day black women alone have enough abortions to overfill a football stadium. And then now you add in other races with abortion and so on. There's a level of corruption. When you limit the man in the society and the man being the one that creates the seed to plant in the soil that is the woman, you're gonna have destruction from within. You're gonna have the rotting. Because the thing is this, a lot of men are going to start adapting, and I'm going to do a video on it called the Clooney method, the George Clooney method. But a lot of men you have the recipe, the perfect storm for the destruction of the birth rate of a country. Women are having mad abortions. The men are stepping away from having children or even starting a family or anything. And then the men are technically on their way out completely, leaving the nation and so on. So that nation is slowly but surely on its way out. Because to me, with Gen Z, probably in 5 years, we're going to see the birth rate decline by probably, if it's at 5 now, I'd say potentially 12%. And it's going to keep declining. Because a lot of these fake woke companies and athlete companies don't understand. You know, all these businesses, your Disneys and all that, what are you going to do? Where this money going to come from when you have no replacements coming in? You know what I'm saying? You can't make child films when children aren't being born. You can't make family-orientated films when there's far less families. But like I said, we're in a MLS society, a male limitation society. You know what I mean? And what's happening is a lot of men, and there's a horrific result because of this, and it's the perfect storm that's going out. And you know, it took me a while to realize the role that, you know, prostitution plays in this social triangle. You know what I mean? You got prostitution, if it's an option, then you got the man having an option for multiple women, and the fact that women would experience having children more and having families. Because here's the thing, man, when you saw, they used to say a man has you know, 2 families or whatever, but here's the thing, he still supported those 2 families, and these children still had a father and so on, versus what we have now where a woman has 2 men on child support and those children have no fathers. You know what I mean? It's funny when you look at things, but I had to make this video. It was overdue. You know what I mean? I had this one locked for a minute, but you know, I hope y'all think about it. You know, we're in a male limitation society, and you know, don't feel ashamed for your urges, man. You know, you'll even have men, like I said, trying to limit you. Oh man, how could you wanna have 2 women? How could you cheat out? How could you go out and sleep with another woman outside of your marriage? And I mean, they're just soft, man. But they're they're feminized men. You know what I'm saying? And they are very dangerous, man. Yeah, I need to make a video on the threat of effeminized men. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, we're in a male limitation society. You gotta be aware of that, and the solution is, you know, looking for a society where that doesn't, you know, that isn't there. You know, so, you know, another country or whatever, because it's coming, dude. It's coming. You know, we have all this technology and men are not being global minded. You know, it's fucking stupid. You know, but I'll let y'all. This has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Peace.